Joining us from central London is the Business Secretary Kwasi Kwarteng. Very good morning to you, and it's good to see you on the programme. It is not good, however, that we have a £22 billion track and trace system, and yet we have government ministers on national television pleading for one individual to come forward. How have we managed to lose track of this person who could be and could have spread this new variant?
I think it's a serious issue that you raise. But as you said earlier in the programme, I mean, the vaccine rollout has been very, very successful. We've vaccinated 20 million people. The professors in the earlier clip that I saw were quite right. And I think it has been a triumph for British science.
We're not taking anything away from the vaccine rollout. We're just focusing on this track and trace failure.
I appreciate that. And I think that where we are with this is that the individual concerned didn't fill in the forms correctly. That's a shame. There's no system in the world that can foolproof if people don't fill in forms correctly. But we are trying to identify this person and keep everyone safe.
There is a system, because it's being used in many other countries, where the moment you land, you're taken straight to a quarantined hotel. We just hadn't got our act together in time, despite knowing about this from the very start of the year. And that's the problem. There is a system. We just didn't have it ready in time, and someone got through the net.
We had the system in time when the person arrived. I think it was on February the 12th or 13th.
Well, why weren't they quarantined?
We certainly had very stringent processes there. But as I said, I think the person hadn't filled in the form correctly. There's always a give and take that people are required to fill in forms correctly. This person hadn't, and we're trying to identify.
Sorry, when did this person land? Mr. Kwarteng, when did this person land?
My understanding was that it was either on the 12th or the 13th.
OK, and hotel quarantine came in, hang on, hotel quarantine came in from the 15th. So we were too late to catch this particular variant, this particular individual carrying this variant, despite the fact that SAGE on the 21st of January said no intervention other than a complete preemptive closure of borders or the mandatory quarantine of all visitors upon arrival in designated facilities can get close to fully prevent the importation of cases or new variants. We were too late.
My understanding in this particular instance was that the person, the relevant person, had not filled in the forms correctly, and that was why they slipped through the net.
No, hotel quarantine came in after they landed. That's the problem, isn't it? It's the timing.
I don't recognise that, but if that's what you're saying, then I'm quite happy to accept that. But look,
you don't recognise it. Well, look, I mean, no disrespect, but OK, look. What do you recognise? What happened to this guy? Because it's actually incredibly serious that someone with the Brazil variant has got through the net here. What do you know anything about this person? Do you know anything at all about them yet, or not?
We're looking to try and find the person. So, as you pointed out, because haven't found the person, we can't say details about.
But had they been taken straight from the airport to a quarantined hotel?
Might be.
Right, but had they been taken straight to a quarantined hotel for the required period of time, this wouldn't be an issue. But they weren't, because the system wasn't up and running, was it?
So one of the things that we have been dealing with is other mutant variants. For example, the South African variant is something that we've been dealing with. The Brazilian, as you say, in 5 out of the 6 cases, we've tracked that down. There was one instance, I accept, that we're still looking into.
OK, you're the business secretary.
Yeah.
One of the key business partners we have in the world is Saudi Arabia. Yesterday, it was announced that Britain is basically halving its support for Yemen from 160 million to 87 million, which has been condemned by aid organisations as a death sentence for the people already enduring an appalling war and famine in the Yemen. The person who started the conflict in the Yemen is the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman. How much trade do we do with the Saudis on arms at the moment?
We do a great deal. BAE Systems have been trading with Saudi Arabia for decades now. And what we're doing diplomatically is not only have we supported Yemen, we've given something like £1 billion over the last 3 or 4 years.
You just halved our support for the Yemen, and yet you continue to do billions and billions of pounds worth of arms trade with Saudi Arabia, which started this conflict in the Yemen, which is the worst in the world right now. And it also comes at a time when America, the American government, has released a 4-page report which fingers the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman as the man who orchestrated, led and directed the appalling murder of the Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi, who was very critical of his regime. They sawed this guy to pieces in an effort to silence him, which is what they successfully did. It was the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia that ordered this. What are we doing about this? Are we issuing sanctions against him? We have sanctions against 20 other leading Saudis. Is the UK government actually going to show a moral stand here against this person? Or is the fact that we have so much money invested in the arms trade with this Crown Prince that we daren't raise a finger to him when he saws journalists to pieces?
So you'll have noticed, Piers, that the Americans, having condemned the Crown Prince, have explicitly ruled out having sanctions because they realise that the way to influence Saudi Arabia isn't simply to cut off.
But I think that's cowardly too. Yeah, but hang on. I think that's cowardly too, Minister. I think Joe Biden has shown moral cowardice. He was all over this when he was running for president, and now he's president. He's bottled it. He's done exactly what Donald Trump did. No one dares stand up to Saudi Arabia because you haven't got the guts. I don't care what America's response is. I'm asking you, as the UK government representative today, how comfortable do you feel that we've just halved our support for the poor, impoverished, war-torn people of the Yemen, but at the same time we are giving no sanctions and virtually no public criticism of the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, who started that war, is using our weapons to kill people and also saws up journalists and is not being made accountable? How comfortable are you with that?
No, I'll say two things. You've asked me a long question. I'll say two things to that. Firstly, no country has given more support proportionally than the UK to Yemen over the last 3 or 4 years, and we continue to support the people in that appalling situation. Secondly, we make representations the whole time to the Saudi government about humanitarian aid, about the way in which they're waging this campaign, and the fact that we are providing support. And the way we do that is by engaging in dialogue with people across the Gulf. Our diplomacy is second to none in this area, and the way in which we're going to stop Saudi Arabia doing bad things in this way is by talking to them and by actually stressing that we're appalled by their behaviour.
He's not going to give us stuff about that, is he? He doesn't care whether you're appalled by him or not. What he wants to have done to him, surely, is what we've done to at least 20 Saudi nationals. The Foreign Secretary, Dominic Raab, imposed travel bans and asset freezes last year over their involvement with Khashoggi's death. We now know the person that ordered it and orchestrated it was the Crown Prince himself. Are you just going to look after the minions that he ordered to do his dirty work, or are we going to apply sanctions and stand up in a moral and ethical way against this Crown Prince, who is, according to the United States government, a man who murders journalists to suppress their free speech?
I don't think you're right, Piers. I think the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman cares deeply about his reputation across the world. I think he cares a great deal when Great Britain says to him that some of his behaviour is unacceptable. I think that's has a huge impact on him.
Come on, you don't... Sorry, Mr Kwarteng, with respect, even you don't believe what you just said to me. You think Mohammed bin Salman gives us stuff about a few people in the UK government saying, oh, we're disappointed? We should be hitting him hard, shouldn't we? And the reason we're not hitting him hard is we make billions selling them arms which they're then using to brutalise people in the Yemen. We all know what's going on here, and it's grubby, and hiding behind the fact that the Americans have bottled it too, I don't think is good enough. Where's our moral compass?
As I said, Piers, we're trying to influence him, and that's absolutely
what are you doing to him?
That's absolutely key.
How is he being made accountable? Seriously.
Will you allow me to answer your question?
Sure. Thank
you. I think the reputation of Saudi Arabia is really important to them. I think they really care about the fact that our press is very much scrutinising their behaviour. I think they want to be a good international citizen, and I think this Khashoggi affair was humiliating to them. I think it was something which they have suffered for diplomatically, and I think the way to engage any regime like that is to keep the conversation going.
I don't think he's concerned about reputational damage.
He literally sent,
he
sent a team of executioners to lead this journalist into a room where they sawed him to pieces. That's what this...
It's appalling.
And a tip
you're the
from
business
the press
secretary.
isn't going to influence
Do you
him.
not feel... Yeah, but you're, as a business secretary, you know, do you not feel uncomfortable about doing business with a man that does that?
Of course I do. But at the same time, I'm trying to influence the government so that they can stop the Saudi government, so they can stop killing journalists. I think it's what they did and what the Americans have said they did is appalling.
What would he have to do? What would he have to do for you to call? But what would he have to do for you to call for sanctions, as you have done against the people that actually did the dirty deed? You know, people will say, well, why go after the little guys when you haven't got the gumption to go after the big guy at the top who ordered it all?
We absolutely have the gumption to hold the Saudis to account. That's what we're doing. That's what our diplomacy is doing. But at the same time, we realise that there are important relationships that business people, not the Saudi government, but business people have in Saudi Arabia. So it's a balance. It's always a balance in these matters.
Yeah.
Don't fool yourself, Piers. I think we are absolutely focused on trying to make sure that the Saudi government doesn't murder journalists and doesn't behave in a way that's unacceptable to the international community.
And you do that by going after the little guys that were ordered to do the dirty work, but you let the guy who ordered it get off scot-free. I'm not sure that he's going to be too bothered about our criticism.
We're going after people who have committed great crimes. The people that are involved, I think, are going to be facing Saudi justice, and we will review our approach to the government all the time. We're looking at this all the time.
But just to finally clarify, our only call for any form of accountability is that we want the Crown Prince to know we're disappointed.
No, I mean, you trivialise it. I think his reputation...
No, it's not me trivialising it. It's the UK government talking a good game, but actually doing nothing, because to do anything might upset the Crown Prince, and that might damage our billions of arm trade with him, a lot of which he's using at the moment to terrorise people in the Yemen. And what's our response? We slash our help for the people in the Yemen in half. I don't think that's trivialising it. I think that's the cold, hard reality of geopolitics. And I wish our country would show a bit more gumption about it.
You cannot criticise what we've done in the Yemen. We've provided more support than I think any other country in the world.
So things have got easier for the people in the Yemen, have they, in the last year?
No, they haven't. And
so why have you slashed the aid in half?
I don't recognise the numbers that you quote. What we've done is we've provided over the last 4 years £1 billion.
You don't recognise? Well, let me repeat them to you. Britain donated 160 million to Yemen in 2020. On March the 1st, 2021, Britain pledged 87 million. That's 54% of last year's donation. Which part of that don't you recognise?
No. So what I said, Piers, is that over the last 3 or 4 years, there isn't a country in the world that has given.
That wasn't what I was talking about. I was talking about whether you recognise halving the contribution to the people of the Yemen, given that it's worse than ever. You don't seem to have an argument other than saying, well, before that we used to help them. Now we don't bother, even though the bloke that started the war there is somebody who saws up journalists. I just think I would like to see the British government show that the Crown Prince can't get away with this stuff.